I'm here because about a year ago, I watched a TEDx talk video called Why You'll Fail to Have a Great Career. The point of that video, that talk, was we all know we need to pursue our passion to have a great career. But then we come up with a million lame excuses not to do it. Really made me think. I realized that by many definitions, I've had a great career. I've been pretty successful, and I'm very passionate about the manufacturing industries that I serve. In fact, I got my passion for manufacturing when I was in college. For a couple of summers, I actually worked as an assembler in a manufacturing plant. I loved it. And in fact, beyond my career, I had a great life. I won't go into the details, but I kind of had everything. And yet, I was restless. I felt like, and I just heard Chris saying this, I needed to do something else. And I didn't quite know what it was. I didn't know why I was restless. So I realized that it wasn't that I didn't have something, it was that I didn't feel a sense of ease and flow. I realized that I was making everything hard. And I had a habit of making everything hard. And I think I started that habit when I was about 5 years old. When I first went to school, because I was a lefty in a righty's world. I had to learn about reason and logic. Then I had to learn arithmetic and mathematics and gym. Everything was hard. And I kept that habit going into my career. I worked hard. And I took that habit into getting fit. I always worked hard. And I kind of never took the time to enjoy all of the fruits of that hard work. So I realized that for me, what I really wanted in my life was more flow and ease. And what was ironic was I realized that the work I do for manufacturers, a lot of it is about helping things flow through their operation better and making their life easier. I never applied it to myself. So I started to take a look, and I realized you always have to start at the start and recognize what it is you really want. So I asked myself, what do I want in my life? Okay, ease and flow, it's kind of general. So I realized I kind of needed to create a mission statement for myself, a new mission statement. So I think anytime an organization goes through a big transition, they tend to create a new mission statement. It's a process manufacturers do and other companies as well. But a lot of manufacturers have been doing it recently. And when a manufacturer or another company goes through it, it tends to refocus. In manufacturing, it tends to be a change from what do we make, our outputs, to more and more companies are focusing on the outcomes for their customers. So let me give you a great example. A pioneer in that was Royce. They make aircraft engines. And about 30 years ago, they came up with something called power by the hour. You don't pay for the engine. You pay for the time that the engine is keeping your airplane in the air. It revolutionized that business. So I'm thinking, if I'm going through a transformation, I need to create a new mission statement for myself. And I start to look at outcomes. And I realize I need some other questions to help me do that. So that TEDx talk helped me in terms of one of the questions about what's your true passion? Okay, you're passionate about manufacturing, but what else? And what would you change in your life? How do you bring out your best self? Maybe what are your strengths and talents you're not using fully? But rather than just talk about myself and just talk about manufacturers, I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to do a little thinking about your own mission statement. So we're going to do an exercise, and I'm going to ask you to focus for a little while on your breathing. Clear out. We've had so much great information today. It's been like drinking from a fire hose. So clear out our minds for a little while. Get centered inside. And then I'm going to ask you to focus on one of these questions or something similar. Craft something for yourself. So it could be one of these. So take a minute now and think about what resonates for you. Whether it's about your passion, what you'd change, your best self, your talents, or just what it is you want. Take a couple of minutes, and we're going to just spend time with it. So, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, or leave them at half-mast and defocus. And now, take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Take a deep breath out through your mouth. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Take a deep breath out through your mouth. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Take a deep breath out. Now, just breathing normally. Focus a little while just on your breath. Coming in and going out. Coming in and going out. If thoughts arise, just let them pass like a bubble. Don't jump on them. So now that our minds are clear and we're focused inward, come back to your question about your passion, what you'd change, your best self, your talent, what you want. Just sit with that question. If no answer comes right away, realize it's okay. It's just your secret, and oh, by the way, the answer might come later today, tomorrow, next week, next month. It's fine, just sit with the question. And if an answer has started to come already, peel back the layers and understand how it could be different. Okay, so that was a couple of minutes of contemplation. When I've done this for myself, I came up with a couple of things. One is, what I wanted to change was I wanted to have not only a bigger impact, a more personal, a deeper, more meaningful impact. And one of the ways I thought I could do it was by bringing forward a strength in holistic thinking, bringing a lot of different things together. But the funny thing is, when I got to that conclusion, I recognized that the way I looked at my life was anything but holistic. It was ugly. This is how most of our schedules look and how many of us feel about it. You can't even read all the text on purpose. It's ugly. It makes you almost not breathe. So in manufacturing, we call this a HiMix environment. Now, HiMix environments tend to be very high value. If you have a commodity, you just run one thing all day, it's just one color pie chart. But it's very low margin. This is high value. We're highly accomplished people in this room, and we have complex lives. So you don't want to take things out. What you need is a way to manage your life so that you put your best effort into the most important things. If you don't have that, which I didn't a year ago, what you start to feel like is all stressed out. For me, it was like a toilet bowl flush where I was getting just flushed down with no control. And I realized it made me feel like I wasn't having good work-life balance. But that term itself shows the false duality of how we think about our lives. Because work is life. And for much of our lives, we're going to be working. So what if we were able to reflect more of our personal values in our work life and more of the disciplines from our work into our day-to-day existence. Could we have more of what we want? So I don't know what it is you came up with in your meditation, but what I can say is if we don't make time and have some discipline, then we probably aren't going to get what we want. So let's talk about the Lean Six Sigma continuous improvement cycle. This originated in manufacturing, and a lot of you probably have seen it in whatever industry you're in as well. It's an 8-part cycle. Each of the parts feeds the others, and each one has its own disciplines, its own tools, its own techniques that are effective. But what I find interesting is a lot of people shortcut this and only use 5 of the disciplines. In fact, it's often called the DMAIC cycle. So from the orange over here, around through the bottom. And they leave out 3 of the things that I find industry leaders do a great job with: standardize, integrate, and the first thing I'm going to talk about, recognize. Now, the exercise we did earlier was a lot about recognizing what you want in your life. Or in the case of the question about change, maybe what you don't want in your life. And manufacturers often do look at what they don't want. What they don't want is something they need to find the root cause and pull out like a weed. For root cause analysis, the tool is called the 5 whys. It's a very simple tool, and I'll give you an example. So one of the things I thought about is, you know, I've stayed in some jobs too long. Anybody else ever stayed in a job too long? Yeah. Why do we do that? Well, for me, so the first why do we do that? Job security. Okay, why does job security matter? Well, for me, it came back to my childhood experience of a father who worked for the same company for 35 years. But I know the world doesn't work that way anymore. So why was I hanging on to this outdated belief? Why? Well, for me, it related to loyalty. Somehow, stability in a job related to loyalty to the people you worked with. And why did that matter? Well, that mattered because I don't like to disappoint people I care about, and I've worked with a lot of great people. So finally, I got to that point, and I said, oh my gosh, how silly. When I stay in a job too long, I'm disappointing somebody really important, and that is me. So that enabled me then to think about how to get out of a job at the right moment. When I get disappointed, I gotta go. So that's just one example. Now we're gonna move on to something I've studied a lot and done a lot of research on, is how manufacturers measure their performance. And one of the things that I would say is measuring outcomes. Remember, we talked about the customer outcome being different from the product. Measuring outcome is pretty different. You look at customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, repeat business, net promoter scores. Now, how do we do that in our personal lives? Let me just give you an example. For me, and I think a lot of us have done this, at various times I've tried to lose weight. Well, and I've been successful counting calories, counting carbs, how much I exercise, all of that works, but it's not sustainable. When I sustain it, it has to do with how I feel. I feel better when I eat good, healthy food. I feel better when I exercise every day. I feel better when I look better. By being able to focus on that, I've been successful over the long haul. So I'm going to skip through the rest of the cycle and assume that we've done a great job creating some new processes that are better. And that's the point at which you want to standardize and integrate. In manufacturing, this usually looks like standard operating procedures. And in our personal lives, it looks like habits or even rituals. I've discovered in the past year the value of rituals. But habits are something that I want to draw your attention to this Harvard Business Review issue. If you didn't see it, January, February issue has some great articles, and one of them talks about how people who did what we did earlier, 2 minutes of meditation every day for 3 weeks straight, were happier and more productive over a much longer period of time. It became a habit to be mindful, and it paid off. So don't underestimate the power of feelings. Really, we're human beings. We're not human doings. It's about how we feel. Everything we do and everything we have comes from everything we are. So think about it. All the manufactured goods, from the wheel to movable type to automobiles and electricity and cell phones, all of those things started with somebody being dissatisfied and thinking they could do better, and then having a thought about how that might work. Think of how powerful it would be if you harnessed your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions to have the world and have your life be the way you want it to be. Based on the conversations today, I think we'd all be very happy about that outcome. Thank you.